I, personally speaking, when it came to like political, when it comes to like political decision making, as a, and by the way, since we do have the money now, we have somebody mowing the lawn, you know, obviously doing the actual labor, one of those Mexicans with a weed whacker. So there's something you should probably fucking understand about what I feel about political advocacy and talking about politics and voting and encouraging people to vote and all that kind of thing. I used to be one of the people who literally would sign up for campaigns and be the one to make phone calls to the voters and ask them to actually show up and get out there and show up and do their part and actually vote, in the system. And I have heard nothing of actual intellect from much of anyone in this country when I called them on the phone about their reasons to not vote. In fact, they convinced me that most people in this country are dumber than a bag of rocks. Because, in doing those phone calls, you find out over and over and over and over and over again, most of us are convinced that even bothering to vote at all is a bad idea, or that you shouldn't be involved in the process, or that it's pointless, and that you shouldn't even put in any effort, or even try, or even bother in that direction at all. And that's what most people think in this country. There's no point in the whole fucking process. They're all wrong, each and every fucking one of them, and there are countless fucking millions of them. So, that should go to tell you why I don't give a shit anymore that YouTube has this naysaying activity and behavior, because this is what they do all the fucking time. And naysayers are all collectively dumber than a bag of rocks. And if you combine each and every one of them into one big unit of people, they would all still be unable to think their way out of a fucking paper bag. None of them are smart. And even all together, all their minds combined are still dumber, collectively, than a bag of rocks. Like, seriously, I don't know the fucking point. Like, I fucking can't stand it. I can't stand it, and I can't stand that people are so fucking stupid all over the fucking place. You want to know, like one really obvious insight why this whole insight that voting is pointless is a dumb argument? Look at the margins that have happened in our elections. For instance, every year, track them. Look at the numbers. Elections getting closer and closer and closer together every fucking years. Like, if you track the numbers, you crunch the numbers, you'll find that every 2 years, elections get closer and closer and closer together. Depending on which side is going to actually end up winning. Your one vote matters. Even one vote can sway an election. Elections decided by one vote or fewer. The 2017 Virginia House of Delegates election. On Tuesday, December 19th, 2017, Democrat Shelley Simmons won a seat in the Virginia House of Delegates by a single vote and a narrow as narrow can get victory through a court victory. Quickly tossed out Simmons' victory, and she eventually ended up conceding to a Republican opponent. But I mean, this was significant. I mean, like, this is what happens. The 2000. These are happening. These elections. There was an election like in 2008. An Indian politician named C.P. Joshi lost by a single vote, pursuing an assembly position in the northwest Indian state of Rajasthan. In the final tally, Joshi fell to the opponent Kelly Singh Kohan by a count of 62,216 to 62,215. Reportedly, Joshi's wife, mother, and personal driver failed to show up on election day. Kelly Singh, his wife, on the other hand, allegedly cast vote at 2 different polling stations. Wyoming's 1994 congressional election. In 1994 House of Representatives race, Republican Randall Luther and the Independent Larry Cole each finished with 1,941 votes. Following a recount, produced the same results. Governor McSullivan settled an election in the most unconventional, although state-appropriate fashion, drawing a ping-pong ball out of his cowboy hat that determined the winner. Luthie's name was drawn, and history may well be proven he was the right man for the job. He served the Jackson Hole district until 2007. You know, these are elections that have taken place in the United States too. Like this happens all the fucking time in Nevada. In Nevada's 2002 and 2011 council elections in Nevada, they still don't know how to settle ties in the most gentlemanly way, drawing playing cards with the high card taking home the election spoils. In 2002, Republican D. Honeycutt came up short, drawing a jack of diamonds to Democrats R.G. Gillam's jack of spades for his seat in Esmond County Commission. Card justice was again deployed in 2011 when Tanya Flau again and Linda Messer tied in Las Vegas City Council primary, and her candidate wanted to pony up $600 for the cost of a recount. Messer ended up drawing a king to fly against five, but ended up losing the election, to which we say $600 well saved. So this happens in this country, and it's going to get more and more frequent going forward in the future in every election coming forward because things are changing. The demographic shift is taking place slowly but surely, and the elections are getting tighter and tighter. You should show up. There's a fucking good reason to do it. They're all collectively dumber than a bag of rocks. They all. You're naysayers are dumb. Naysayers are dumb. Here's why.